NAR settles a lawsuit. Got a lot of traffic on this over the weekend, and I'll show you what I have straight from NAR. And then 10 things you can do to help sell your home. Willa Glenn House of the Week, Luxury House of the Week, and listings rose to the highest in 17 months. And then we'll also do the 12 county snapshot. Let's get into this real quick, get this over and done with so that you can go on to your day. So the settlement, 481 million or something like that. I'm not exactly sure where this is all going. We haven't actually had the settlement agreed upon from the judge. This was just presented to the judge, and everybody went off the wall over the weekend saying this is what's going to happen. Truth is, we don't know what's going to happen. It's all a bunch of supposition and posturing. Bottom line is NAR covered their ass. They made the bigger brokerages the scapegoat. They're getting away with a lot. And considering the fact that they're supposed to be pro-consumer and pro-realtor, they really didn't do much to protect us in this. I think they've lost a lot of ground, and they lost a lot of face, especially with me. A lot of realtors are walking away. At the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is a lot of newer agents are going to get out of the business because they just can't see the whole, I can't make people sign an agreement, which I don't know, whatever. That's totally up to them how they're going to do that. Let's go into it. Implications: over 1 million NAR members, National Association of Realtors members, are released from liability nationwide. Down here it says anything that exceeded 2 billion in sales is not released. So the big players like Compass and Century 21 and Remax and all these other companies, they're not, Keller Williams, Warren Buffett's place, whatever that one is called, they're all still going to have to deal with. So NAR didn't really take care of their own. Is this fair for the sellers? I think it's a great thing for the sellers. However, I think the buyers are going to have a little bit more of a struggle in the coming months, try to figure out how to make these deals work. And who it really hurts is first-time buyers, FHA buyers, and VA buyers, because veterans are not allowed to pay anything out of pocket except for the appraisal. That's pretty much it. They can't do any repairs. They can't do anything out of pocket. So there's going to be a lot of changes coming down the pike. So just hold on, right? We don't know exactly where this is going to land because, again, we don't know. The judge hasn't even approved this yet. So every time you see a video about, hey, this is what's going to happen, we don't know. It's all supposition and posturing. Implications for association-owned MLSs. So here's the thing. In our guidelines, for the 20 years I've been around and longer, the way that it worked was the seller paid the listing broker, right? And all agents work under a broker. So the broker got paid, and then they took half of the commission, and the other half goes to the buyer's agent. So if it was 5 or 6%, they would split that down the middle. Sometimes it's a little wonky back and forth. Just depends on the brokerage, depends on the agent, depends on how the deal's structured. And then the buyer's agent would be paid through that system. The buyer's broker gets paid from that close, and then the split goes to the agent. And then whatever's left over goes to the brokerage. That's how it's always been. Now, the work is going to be put onto the onus of the buyer and the buyer's agent, where they have to go and negotiate their compensation, which could help the seller immensely. So my thoughts are, how is this going to help? Could you put it into the agreement saying, hey, seller, I want you to pay the buyer's agent the 2.5%, 3%. This is part of the structure. We'll see how that goes out. We don't know. And if they say, the seller says, no, I'm not paying anything, then the buyer has to pay whatever is on a buyer broker agreement. Buyer broker agreements are going to become a normal practice. I've been doing that for the last 5-6 years now. I used to be pretty lackadaisical about it. And here's the thing, when you work with a buyer's agent, you're hiring them exclusively. However, why would I spend my time, energy, and my money to go and show you a house and negotiate for you, and then you go and buy a house somewhere else? Just not going to do that. This is a business for me. I feed my kids with this money that I make off of this business. I pay my mortgage, I pay my taxes, I pay my insurance, I pay healthcare. All that stuff comes off the top, including marketing. So if you're not going to commit to me, I'm not going to commit to you, and you can go somewhere else. I have plenty of business going, what have you. And we don't know where we're going to land. So just like there's discount listing agents, listing brokerages, now there's going to be discount buyer agents where they just take a $5,000 or 1% split and whatever's left over. However, just keep in mind that if you're going to hire somebody or you're asking somebody to do some work for you, the intention is that you're going to compensate them somehow. And if the onus falls on you as the buyer, then you should pay that person, that agent, to do what you hired them to do. So just be prepared. We don't know where this is going to land. Again, so new NAR rules, written agreements, long encouragement, what service and value will be provided for how much. The settlement provides that the participants must enter into a written representation agreement with those buyers. This change will go into effect mid-July. So I have a couple listings come up and my clients came up and it said, how does this affect me? And I said, it doesn't, because we're going to be closed before July. So don't think it's like I can take advantage of this now. I don't have to pay a buyer's agent. You never had to. And the conversations I've always had is we suggest 2.5%, 3%. You can pay them $1. Totally up to you how that's going to work. However, there's something called steering. And I go into an explanation about that. Not all agents do it. A good agent will have a representation agreement in place saying that if the seller isn't paying, the buyer will pay me, that kind of thing. So will this lower commissions? I don't think so. I have a sliding scale. I have a tiered service that I offer. I offer, get it on the MLS today, to here's some listing, here's some work. We work with you and we get your house fixed up, ready to go, or we could do a complete turnkey. I give you those options and I explain to you the cost and the time frame and all this other stuff that might affect the sale of your home, either positively or negatively. And I let you make that decision and then we go from there. I always suggest that you offer 2.5% no matter what. The other part of this thing, this litigation or this settlement, is that we're now taking any compensation off of the table. So in the MLS or whatever, it's not going to be available for you. And it's a mystery bag. You don't know what you're going to deal with the seller. So now the buyer's agent has to negotiate with the seller to say, hey, I expect 2.5%. And the seller can say, go pound sand. I'm not going to do that. Or I'm not going to pay you 2.5%. I'll pay you $1,000. I'll pay you $10,000. And then there's an agreement between the delta, the buyer. So it's going to be very consuming. It helps the sellers immensely. It hurts the buyers, and it makes it very difficult to work with buyers agents these days. All right, Lance, let's talk about 10 things to do to make your house more sellable. Landscape and exteriors, quick cleanup. So yeah, if you just painted your house 5 years ago, there's a lot of dust. That means that there's dirt flying onto my walls on my house. If I was to put the house on market, I'd go and power wash it, get all that dust off, and then make sure that it looks nice and pretty. And then I would make sure that the landscape looks nice and done. Get the mulch, put it around on the dirt to make it look manicured, put some perennials in there, trim up your trees and bushes, and clean your landscape, your grass, etc. Make it look presentable, because curb appeal is probably the most important thing. The first 5 seconds, right? 5 to 10 seconds is where the buyer makes a judgment call into whether or not they like the house. They like the neighborhood, they like everything, but then the house looks like they're going to pass on a lot of those houses if they're the turnkey type. Give your door and doorbell some love. Clean it, dust it. If it's wood, put some wood oil on it, make it look nice and good, fresh. If it's painted, think about repainting it. Scrub it down, scratch it down, or sand it down and repaint it. Same thing with the doorbell. Put a new doorbell on it. Get the little ring fixture, because everybody loves ring. That's a big selling thing right now these days. Evaluate all the doors. It's a big thing, right? If you have dings and scratches on your doors, paint it. If you have brown doors, paint them white. There's a new thing where everybody's painting their doors black. Not necessarily my thing, but if it's something you want to do, we can discuss it, right? I don't care. But make it look fresh and smart and clean and like you just installed them. If your doors or if your floors are all dinged up or your carpet has stains in them, replacing them or getting them cleaned up or refinished. Scent is a big thing. You walk into a house and it smells like fish, automatically that buyer is going to be turned off, right? I'm not a big fan of the Febreze or the candle wax smell thing. It comes in, it tells me that you're hiding a smell. So what I always say is freshen up with fresh flowers, open up your windows and let the dusty, musty air get out. If you have animals, I have dogs, I have chickens, you name it. Get rid of those, get rid of the furniture that they might be hanging out on, sleeping on, because their dander and their stink and their smell gets all over that. So get rid of those couches and keep the dogs from getting onto that furniture as well. Same thing with carpet, right? Carpet is a huge sponge of smell. So if you smoke or you cook a lot of fish, get rid of that carpet. Just replace it. It's not super expensive. We're talking about $1 million houses here in California. If you cheap out on $2,500, $3,000, you're going to wind up losing $10,000 to $15,000 worth of value in it. So there you go. Clean and fix any wall blemishes. I have kids and I have dings and I have smudges. I have grease and stuff that the kids just naturally touch the walls. So you clean it off, make it look new. You can do it with soap and water. You can do it with the little melamine bars. If a wall is completely scratched up, I suggest you paint that wall. Make it look fresh. People are expecting, even if it's a as-is sale, they expect the house to look at least decent, or else they're going to fall into the wholesale brand. As is, it's a piece of crap. I'm not doing anything. You're not going to get a premium price for it. You might, but I suggest you tighten it up a little. Organize. You're going to move. And if you come to me and say, I'm not in a hurry to move, I'm not really committed, and I'm not committed to getting your house sold. When you're telling your buyer that you're not committed to selling your house and it looks like that, like you're living in it, which is fine when you live in it, that's fine. But when you sell your house, clear away the clutter, put everything in boxes, throw them into your garage, store them and get them stored up so that your house looks like your floor model or a model home and that you're ready to sell, right? That's a big, huge indicator. When I walk into a house and it looks like they haven't done a damn thing to the house and there's clothes and crap everywhere and it smells funny, I know right away that it's going to be a problem getting them out of that house. If you have stuff everywhere, they haven't really done any packing, then you're not really motivated to move and it's going to look that way. Fixed cabinet and drawer tracks. I mean, my cabinets are painted white and I get dings on them. So if I went to go sell my house, I would fill in the scratches and repaint it and make it look like it's brand new. I make sure everything works right, get rid of half the pots and pans and storage bowls that I have in there. So it looks like it's livable, but it also looks like I'm moving. Make sure everything works, because when you look at one thing that doesn't work, then all of a sudden you open up Pandora's box and it looks like the house hasn't been maintained at all. Clean your appliances. This is huge. Clean your appliances. And it doesn't matter if you did it 2 weeks ago, if you're getting it on sale and you cook, clean your appliances, pull out your oven, your stove, and get all the grease and gunk off of it. Vacuum behind there, pull your refrigerator out, get all that stuff, clean it, make it look as new as possible. And if your towel rack and your toilet paper roll dispenser and all that stuff looks old and grimy, replace it. Just get rid of it. Okay, that's it. Willa Glenn Home of the Week, 2-bedroom, 1-bath. This is the lowest listing price in Willow Glen, $1.4 million for 1,000 square feet. It's $1,400 per square foot. Just on market today, and it's almost walking distance to downtown Willow Glen. That's where all the restaurants are, but you can take a nice saunter down to Minnesota and Lincoln and have some fun and then come back. This one's going to sell fast because it's a great little piece of property. Take a look at it. Oh, we're not going to be able to look at it. There you go. Luxury home of the week. This is Belvedere in Belvedere up in Marin County. This is a beautiful home. Let's take a look. 4-bedroom, 5-bath, 8,100 square feet for a mere $23 million. These are not my listings, by the way. 30,000 square foot lot. So it's just about 2/3 of an acre on the hill. And look at that view. That's what you're paying for. Beautiful house, going slow. If you want to take a look at these listings, they're linked down below in my blog. Go to the blog and you'll see the links there. Listings went up, highest in 17 months, but we expected it. Now, last year, we had a major retraction in supply or contraction in supply, right? Which was because we had those 2% listings and nobody was selling their houses. Now that's coming back to normal, but they're definitely not back to 21, 22 numbers because, well, we have a lot of people buying up property for Airbnb, the industrial investors like BlackRock, etc. If you have 18,000 homes that you're converting into rentals, you're an industrial investor and you're taking away from home buyers. And A lot of these homes are first-time homebuyer type homes. They're smaller starter homes, and they're harder for first-time homebuyers to move in because there's a lack of supply. It says here that we went up 3.8 over month, which is fine. They were up 14% year over year since May 21. Home prices post biggest increase in nearly a year and a half. We climbed 6.6. We're back up to 4 point. Median sales price for February 24. The highest was 416, and then they contracted that down to 414 or something like that. So February 422,000. That's pacing for 5 million, 5.5 million. So that's still lower than what we're at the peak. We're at 6.3 million homes. So go ahead and take a look at that. Santa Clara, we're at 1,100 homes sold at $2.3 billion, and the average sales price is $2.1 million. That's not the median. The median right now for Santa Clara is 1.7 on average, right? That's over the last 3 weeks. Because remember, I lost my last spreadsheet, so I'm rebuilding this. The next one is San Mateo to take a look at. The sales volume is 1.86, but their average sales price is 2. And yes, houses are selling for much higher than list price. Even in San Francisco is bouncing back nicely because everybody's going back to San Francisco. Everybody left San Francisco, now they're coming back. And I think what happened is they're realizing that home buyers are going where the path of least resistance is, and now they can go to San Francisco. But I've always maintained that Sonoma and Napa are great places to buy because you can buy houses at 95% or 95 cents on the dollar, and there's a lot of listings to choose from. Sonoma, you have almost 740 houses, and you can get a little bit of a discount if you price it right. Right now, Alameda has almost 2,000. Alameda's being really healthy, and right now we have I think like 1,900 available for sale. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, we'll get that later. So there you go. All right. Today we talked about NAR lawsuit being settled and 10 things you can do to help make your house a little more sellable, and the Willa Glenn House of the Week, and the Belvedere